Hey guys, welcome back. Adam here with Indy Farm Life. So today I'm going to catch up on some firewood production, and in doing so I'm going to do a head-to-head comparison of the SuperSplit HD, a Kinetic log splitter, and the Champion Pro 40-ton hydraulic log splitter. If you aren't familiar with these two units, they are very similar. How so? Well, they both make firewood, but outside of that, that's really all they have in common. So the SuperSplit HD, a Kinetic-based log splitter, pretty simple. There's two giant flywheels in here that the motor runs and turns, and you pick up this lever here, rack and pinion style, and this thing comes out extremely fast, about 2.5 seconds on the cycle time. The Champion Pro 40-ton log splitter, hydraulic splitter. If you're familiar with any kind of log splitters, you're familiar with this style. It's got a hydraulic ram with a wedge, hydraulic reservoir and pump, run by a motor. And we're not going to do a ton of splitting today, just enough to demo these units and show you guys how different they really are, and figure out maybe which one you might want to buy if you're in the market. I think we'll start here with the Champion. Since it's sitting on the outside, bring a basket over here. On our big time splitting days, we'll run the hay elevator and set up multiple baskets that you saw down here. Today's a one-man show. I'm just going to split straight into the basket. If you want the specs on this unit, I'm not going to get into that. I made a video a while back about all that detail. I'll link it below. But what I'm going to do is going to run this for about 20 or 30 minutes. I'll pick a time, set my timer on my phone. I'll fill this basket. We'll get a separate basket over here for the SuperSplit. Run the same 20 or 30 minutes, whatever I decide. Maybe I'll do 25. And we'll see where the quantities are. But then I'll talk about the key differences of these units, pricing, etc. And honestly, it's been a minute since I've run both of these, so I want to refresh my memory on what I like and don't like about these things. Also, I'll do my normal thing. I'll show you some real-time stuff and then hyperlapse a little bit of this. All right, so that was right about 20 minutes, and that included changing camera angles once or twice and chasing rounds when I ran out of them. IBC tote, I would say 3/4 of the way full. We're not stacking it in there neatly, and I can't remember what Adam at Home 10 Acres had told me how much efficiency you lose as far as volume, but this is how we're doing them all, so at least it's apples to apples. Not bad for 20 minutes. You know, the worst part's always bucking up your rounds. All right, likes and dislikes before we jump over to the SuperSplit. It has plenty of power. For a unit that doesn't have a log lift, you'd be hard pressed to pick up a round that this thing can't go through. i.e., if you can pick it up and put it on here, it's probably going to split it. I think it was during the hyperlapse stage that I had one that was probably 28 or 30 inches in diameter. It split it just fine. It was so tall that the wedge wasn't getting into the heart of it, and I had some strings to fight through and whatnot. Plenty of power, smooth, it's got plenty of travel. It's got a pretty good flow rate and speed. I think full cycle from all the way in, out, and back in is like 11. I got it like 10.5 at one point. But the key with any hydraulic splitter is just to keep your wedge close to wherever your length of your wood is. So we split ours about 14 for some small wood stoves. So if you keep the wedge kind of between 14 and 17 right here, save that extra travel, it's pretty quick. The only thing I wish this thing had was just more working room. You get one of those big rounds, you have a half on one side, you can set it there, but you still don't have enough room to kind of split. You gotta throw it off to the side. Homeowner could easily fix that themselves by building a little side table, you know, if you're gonna build a whole splitting operation around this. So not a big deal, but just something to be cognizant of when you're working. This is one of the largest hydraulic splitters you can find at a box store, and it has more working table room than 99% of them. So if you're used to having one of those kind of splitters, these two little trays will probably be a big upgrade for you. Oh, all right, so now we're going to pop over to the SuperSplit here, move it back so I can get a basket in front of this one. work. And bring a bunch of rounds over here too. You're gonna have to go the long way. Now what's interesting is the cycle time on this SuperSplit is like 2 or 2.5 seconds. It's probably 4 if not 5 times faster than the cycle time on that, you know, all the way in, out. But with one person, I'm not sure I'm gonna split a whole lot more with the SuperSplit than I did with that. I'll save my thoughts to the end, but this thing's kind of commercial. All right, I'm gonna let her warm up and I'm gonna get some rounds over here. I don't know if you guys know or not, but these little Honda motors run best when they flip to on. It's also a good test on this because this wedge is only what? The wedge on the SuperSplit's like 8 inches tall, and that one's probably 9, 10. Obviously, there's way more efficient ways to do this than what I'm doing here, but this is just for this video's purposes. When we really get after it, there's usually a couple of us out here. We use this hay elevator with this SuperSplit up front. All right, that'll keep you busy for a while. I think that's the first time that's ever happened before. That's been 16 minutes. Creeping up on catching up with the other basket. This one definitely is faster. And if you guys watch my other videos before, you know that when we have 2 people out here running this and we have the hay elevator going and all that fun stuff, we can fill a basket in about 9 minutes. She got some force when she splits. Let's at least split what we got here. I'll tell you what, 20 minutes. We're not too far off different here. I think these baskets are the same size. That one might be just a hair bigger. I'm not surprised if that one made more firewood. The cycle time is 4 if not 5 times faster than that one. But let's talk about likes, dislikes of this real quick, and then we will talk overall. If you're in the market for one of these, which one should you buy and why? All right, what do I love about the SuperSplit HD? I love the enormous working area. Now, the base unit only comes with this section here. I had to buy these extra 12-inch pieces as add-ons. But once you have all this, you have so much real estate. And so when you're splitting, you get one of those big ones. You have a nice place to set a round off to the side, or the split half off to the side, either side really. And you can also keep another round up here vertical, and it won't vibrate off. You can get to it from both sides, so you can do right-handed operation, go to the other side and do left-handed operation. I know SuperSplit has to cover themselves legally, and that's why they have one-person operation listed on here. But this is really a 2-man machine, or at least a 2-man setup. It's so fast that a second person is really necessary. And so when I run it by myself, I am not much quicker than using a traditional hydraulic splitter. This one necessitates a second person bringing you rounds, clearing baskets when they're out of here, whether it's right here off the end or off the conveyor like we like to do. I also feel like it sits a lot lower. Let's do the old on my hip test here. Yeah, you guys didn't see that, but the Champion sits about, I don't know, 6 inches higher than this. You can feel that in your back when you're kind of working. So, all right, Adam, I'm in the market for a log splitter. I'm not trying to spend 10, 12 grand. I don't want a 9-way wedge. I mean, I do want a 9-way wedge, but can't afford one, or a processor, or anything that really Adamant Hometown Acres has. But I want a good quality splitter that's gonna put out a good amount of firewood and it's just gonna work. Well, both of these will do that to varying degrees. Budget's always a consideration. So this one, I think you can find it anywhere from $2,400 to $2,600, depending upon the time of the year. All the big box stores have it, Amazon. I'll throw some links down below. The SuperSplit HD is going to come from SuperSplit directly. It's going to be about $2,000 more expensive than this unit. I think this is $3,800 before the side tables, which is like another $640. And shipping, right? You're going to have to pay to ship this one. This one you can go pick up at Home Depot tomorrow if you wanted. And Amazon's probably going to have free shipping. So a couple $1,000 cost difference roughly. And one thing I'm going to say is if you have questions that I don't answer here in the next minute or two, please drop them below. Happy to answer any questions you guys have about these two units and how they differ. All right, so let's start with why I bought this unit to begin with. Well, I wanted something that was fairly high output, and I didn't want to spend, you know, crazy money. I didn't want to spend $7,000, $8,000 and beyond on a multiple way wedge splitter. This was the easiest way to get that volume of wood without having that associated price tag. Also, me and my buddies next door split wood together a lot, so our firewood baskets kind of become communal. We burn some at our house, they burn some, etc. So I wanted something that we could all come together, coalesce around, and make a lot of wood quickly. I also like to hand out firewood baskets like they're Christmas gifts. So I had a specific rhyme and reason. Also, if you've been around Indy Farm Life for a while, you'll probably know that overkill or belt and suspenders or big time or excess are kind of my mantra, my MO. So a great splitter, not knocking it, love this thing, I'll never get rid of it. But I will say when you run this, it's kind of like a job. It is so fast, you have to be, you know, head on a swivel. And if you have someone working with you, you got to trust them, you got to understand where they're going to put their hands, where they won't put their hands, and vice versa. And you know, you're just sitting here hand down cranking the whole time. It's not enjoyable. And like Adam at Hometown Acres had said to me before, you know, when firewood goes from being enjoyable to being work, or from a hobby to being like a business, the fun kind of falls out of it. So this thing's going to be around forever. It's our high output splitter. When you hook it up with this hay elevator, turn and burn, baby. It's our, hey guys, let's get together Saturday morning. We got to crank out 10 or 12 baskets before lunch because all the kids have activities or basketball games, whatever, in the afternoon. So this is our, we're dads with limited time log splitter. Now the Champion's your classic hydraulic log splitter. When I was a kid growing up, we were always out in the woods with my grandpa, my dad, my uncles, etc. We'd always split wood. We had an old hydraulic log splitter. So this is kind of what I grew up being around, and you know, this is what most people have. This is definitely on the higher end or higher size of probably what most folks have around their house. Unless you sell firewood, then you probably have a big one with a log lift and, you know, multiple way wedge, etc. But if you have a run-of-the-mill log splitter, like a county line 25 ton or something like that, and then you go out and use this thing, you're gonna be blown away at what this thing can do. 20 minutes right there, plenty of power. I'm starting to say I do like the height of this one more than that one. But back to the commentary about it being a hobby versus work. If I'm gonna come out here and split for an hour in the afternoon, and I've got 30 rounds I just want to get through or whatever, I got 1 or 2 trees that had come down, I'm probably gonna pick this. I enjoy standing here running this as compared to that. I like that when I let go of the actuator, the cylinder stops, whereas on that thing, you're pulling it up and it's just flying. I've actually had folks comment when I made videos of the SuperSplit saying 2 or 2.5 seconds. Like, that's, no, I don't even want that. It's just too dangerous. It's a liability. It's just waiting to happen. So I get that. Let's put it this way. If my dad was in a market for a splitter and he wanted one of these two, which one would I coach him towards? Probably this one, simply because it's more enjoyable. It's less work. It feels like less work per se. Now for my buddy who heats his house with firewood, i.e. a boiler, I might say get that Kinetic splitter. You know, you got you're going to go through 8 cords of wood this year. You need something high output. That's insane. When you're trying to split that much firewood for your home, that's a full-time job, and time's precious. So yeah, if you're a backyard burner, you're a weekend warrior with your property, and you need to make some firewood, but you're not trying to commercially sell it, just get this. Save the $2,000 that you would spend otherwise, and go buy yourself a really nice chainsaw. The worst part of splitting firewood is bucking up logs, and a really nice chainsaw makes all the difference in the world. So get yourself this splitter, take the $2,000 and buy yourself an insanely nice chainsaw, and thank me later. Again, one is not better than the other. They both just have different use cases. So you got to figure out what is your use case. What do you need firewood for? How much firewood do you need? And weigh the pros and cons. If you have additional questions about either of these units, about what my thoughts are on them, if I missed something, please comment below. Happy to answer them. I think both of these are going to be around for a long time, because some days you need to sprint, and other days you might just want to jog. All right, I'm going to top up both these baskets, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.